Let's talk about the Noah card. How much, if at all, did you get to see of the Muto Nakamura match?
I saw the
card?
Muta Nakamura match.
So, yeah, a lot to talk about. First of all, they drew 9,500 people to Nippon Budokan, which is a tremendous figure for Pro Wrestling Noah in 2023, drawn off of Muto and Nakamura. And Shinsuke Nakamura came out with the best entrance of 2023. I think we can officially state that he is the front runner and felt like a megastar walking out. I mean, this guy, whatever charisma you think he lost in WWE, or could he turn it on? My God, I didn't think of WWE once in relation to Shinsuke Nakamura during this entrance, this match, this just charisma that exuded out of this man, and that white, whatever you would call it, that he was wearing to the ring with Lee England. I mean, what a pairing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spectacular. I think just the feeling of seeing Nakamura again in Japan, in a big stage, for a big significant main event match, that alone felt very special.
So the match went 18 minutes and 20 seconds. And, this was not the match of the show, but in terms of this crowd, like, they saw Nakamura and Muta as just the biggest stars, and it felt like a big, important match and a special match. On top of that, I thought that they worked like a very good main event. I didn't think that this dragged. I thought that, like, the crowd, and this was a crowd that could not cheer, but they were just, you could, like, just a gasp as Nakamura is coming out. You could see, like, they, some people looked at, should this headline over the title match? I thought they made the right call, that this was the main event, and I think that this was in the proper position here. But we saw the poison mist from Keiji Muto, the red mist to Nakamura, and the ending came when Nakamura sucked out the mist from Muta's mouth and then sprayed green mist into Muta's face before Kinshasa to win in 1820. Afterwards, Nakamura calling Muta his idol, and then Muta called Nakamura several things that we will get to in a second, which was its own controversy. I thought that would be the major controversy of that we would be discussing tonight. But in terms of the on-screen presentation, your thoughts?
Well, I should mention, like, I've seen very minimal of Muta, throughout these recent years, and so I don't know if my expectations were maybe tempered to what yours might be, John, having followed much closer, to his current state. So I think if I had seen what he was physically limited to at this point, I might have looked at this match as like a bit of a success story. And you know what? Judging by the crowd reaction toward it all, the emotion coming out of it from the crowd, the announcers, Nakamura himself, I would classify all of that as quite successful. And I thought, using the mist and sort of like these sort of gimmicky things to create something compelling in terms of story, I thought was overall successful. But the man is still incredibly limited in what he's able to do, but he was still able to pull off like nice looking flash elbows, pretty decent looking shining wizards.
He's got the great Muta like formula presentation down, and he knows, like, his timing is, like, his instincts are still there to maximize the limited things that he can do. And he had a superstar to work off of in Nakamura that the audience saw as a major star. It does make you wonder, what is the plan for the Tokyo Dome because I thought this went pretty damn great for a great Muta performance at this stage where the man has just turned 60.
Maybe that's where you throw the moonsault in, but I'm not that hopeful that happens given his mobility at this point. But successful, I would say, in terms of grandeur and spectacle and overall story.
So afterwards, Muta goes to the back, and this is where he is speaking to the reporters, and then dropped some very unfortunate homophobic language to describe Shinsuke Nakamura and sucking the mist out of his face, which, it is worth knowing, is a spot that Will Ospreay did with Bushi a number of years ago in New Japan. So this was not an original match finish, but nonetheless, it was this language was very disappointing to hear. And then I was very surprised that it made its way onto Noah's social channels, which has thankfully been taken down. But this, to me, it was just a really awful look and something that I would think would be, there are going to be the apologists out there, but I just thought this was pretty awful language to hear in 2023, and I am not one that just gives the it's a issue with a different generation not understanding this. I just thought it was pretty tone deaf to be using, and it just kind of gave a damper on what was to me a pretty great ending to this show with this match. And then you hear these comments.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, the mood is so celebratory. You see these commentators, they're tearing up and crying at, one of the last sort of big moments in this man's very, very illustrious career. And the first thing you see as we cut to the back is a very short promo in English here from Keiji Muto. Possibly speaking in character or not in character, there's no excuse for it. But it's, what I got. So it might, like, you might be a bit lost, I guess, if you haven't seen the match nor the interview. But as John mentioned, the last spot of the match was Shinsuke Nakamura essentially like kissing Muto to suck the mist out of him so that he could spit the mist out. Mm-hmm. And what you got in the post-match interview from Muto was essentially what I deemed to be some form of like very insecure defense of his masculinity by calling, Shinsuke Nakamura queer and a derogatory, slur for a homosexual person. So it was the people that might defend it are saying, okay, well, he's a man in his 60s, 50s, in 60s. Japan, 60s in Japan, which is a culture that might, in some cases be sort of lagging behind in terms of, I think, how progressive they are with LGBTQ plus rights. But God, like, you booked Shinsuke Nakamura for a reason, and that's to cater to an international audience. You're on an international stage. You're even cutting a promo in English to try to cater to an international audience. How unaware must you be in the state of the world at this point? So I hope this is a learning experience for him to find out, like, why this man still thinks it's okay to use language like this. Does it indicate anything deeper within him, with regards to his opinions on the subject? And it's, hopefully it's a wake-up call to any sort of like promotion out there that is granting live mics to people in their I don't know, different generations.
I think honestly, like, I will give them like the benefit of the doubt of an apology coming. I think that's at very least. I'm not one of these.
I don't know if you're going to get that, John.
Well, I think that really reflects poorly on not just Muto, but the promotion itself, that you condone this. I'm not saying that you have to get rid of this guy, but I feel like this went out on all your channels. I would be pissed if I was WWE and I see this.
It's still on the stream, like on the main show. It's at the end of the main show
it's still on that feed. Oh, well, that's really bad. I saw like the tweet, the video of the like minute had been taken down off the Twitter. But yeah, if it's still there up on the feed, I think that reflects really poorly on Noah.
So, certainly this collaboration with WWE opened very sort of obvious discussions or speculation about whether or not Muta would, number one, maybe even make it to the Rumble. But if not the Rumble, then certainly maybe a shoe-in for the international, slot of the WWE Hall of Fame. I can't imagine that happening at all at this point. This would just not fly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I wasn't like aggressively following this story. When I first saw those comments, I had it sent to me like first thing on Sunday morning. So it's like I'm watching these comments and I'm thinking that like, wow, this is really, really bad. And it was definitely discussed online, but I thought it honestly would generate a larger backlash than it did.
Well, how many people do you think watched the match? Like, how many people signed up to Wrestle Universe, or at least was aware enough?
I think far less saw the press, the backstage portion than did the match. And the fact is, like, this is, if this had happened in a North American promotion with your equivalent of a Muto here, I think this would be like a major story of this clip going around. I don't know if this is gonna just kind of fall under the radar for people, but it's, there's
the internet brings everything up, John. And if let's say it's April or March, like they're looking, that they were possibly thinking about this, for the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's still relatively fresh in people's minds at that point. That when we're talking about that at this point, WWE going out of their way to possibly honor somebody who's not in their system for bad, at the risk of bad PR, and PR is the thing that they probably care the most about. So why would they do it?
I would say that way, but at the same time, it's like, man, Glenn Jacobs has said some horrific things, and that has not affected them. Like this kind of thing, like part of me is like, I would not be happy if I was WWE, but at the same time, if they were gung ho on going ahead with these plans, I don't know if this kind of thing stops them either, because they don't mind being in business with, uncomfortable figures, or, and in the grand scheme of things, this is not at the level of some of the other things they've attached themselves to. So
you could be right.